Good morning. Welcome to the world of conscious positive thinking with MJ, where your thoughts become your power and your mindset becomes your compass. MJ is here to guide you through a journey of self-awareness, emotional mastery, and empowered living.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Want to make
Yeah, man. Just feel it. Let it flow. Peace and love in the air, you know. Woke up with the sun on my face. Breathing deep in this holy space. Feeling good, no need to race. The rhythm of life moves at its pace. Good vibes rise like smoke in the sky. Love in our hearts, no need to ask why. Dance with the trees, sing with the breeze. The world of conscience puts the mind at ease. Colors swirl in my open mind. Truth and joy in the thoughts I find. A smile's the cure, a word's the key. Positive thinking sets you free. Good vibes rise like smoke in the sky. Love in our heart.
Motivational Monday. Hello. Welcome to the world of conscious positive thinking. I'm your host, MJ. We are right here on mbradio.us, and I come on every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern to bring you into another beautiful week as we make our journey around the sun. Yes, we all make that journey around the sun, and that is how we get our wisdom. I'm not going to say age. That's how we get our wisdom, right? Of all our events and all of our light sources. And this is where we come to understand that our history here on Earth is beyond, like, you can't even fathom. You can't, you start like fathoming these things. But then you're like, oh, okay. And they're like, oh, well, 10 million years ago. You're like, what? And you're like, oh, 20 million years ago. And now they're finding things in the permafrost that are like 50,000 years ago, 1 million years ago. You're like, oh my God. Wow. This earth really has like evolved. This earth is just amazing. Father, Mother, God, you've created such a wonder. And it is just, it blows you away. It really, I have to tell you, it just blows you away. And it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter because we live every day to its fullest. And we choose to be happy, and we choose to live in peace, and we choose to have compassion, and we choose to have understanding, and we choose, you get the here, we choose. So today, it is the show of love of our country. I'm a patriot. I am. I don't care how many times I will go back and I will serve for every single one of us here in this country. It's who I am. It's who some people are. So there's been a lot of confuffling energy, of course, with our Department of Defense and making decisions to protect us, right? So I hit on this in a couple of my later shows, but this weekend was another YI, right? This weekend was another just in disbelief. The entitlement of somebody else thinking that they could kill somebody else. I don't understand that philosophy. I just don't. Protection aims at those who are in such a low vibration that it is pure camaraderie. We talked about Moses. We talked about him shutting down the waters. We talked about God's army, the Templars. We talked about these things. We talked about there having to be order. That is one of our mind power centers. Order, balance, right? Order. Always to ascertain order through love and understanding. And we have the will to turn and change anything that we don't really want, right? I mean, that's the good thing. That's the good thing about us. We have exceptions. The problem is that we're filtered by our ego. We're filtered by our peers. And our peers and our ego have been learned this by man. That's why there's such segregation. And that's why it keeps continuously splitting and splitting and splitting. This isn't the first time in the world's history it's happened. Come on. Let's go all the way back to Egypt, right? I love Egypt. Egypt just happens to be the center focus of almost everything that goes on in the world, that in Israel. Those two. So way back when, everybody wanted to conquer Egypt. The Vikings wanted to conquer, the Celts, the Welsh, and then it went to the Romans. Well, then finally, the Vikings came in, pulled, and the Romans came in and they made Alexandria. The conquering of that which appears evil to somebody else's mind or perception. And then there's the truth, right? What is the truth? So as a high consciousness of a spiritualist, if any of those are listening today, then we need to understand there's always a balance. There's always a catalyst, and there's always somebody who's going to either get angry or love it. That always is going to happen in our life. Why? Because this is how we create life events. This is how we can say, oh, it's okay. There's a lot of people going, MJ, killing people is not okay. You're right. But at some point, energetically, in the metaphysical, something has aligned to try to teach us these events, these immoral practices, and these lessons that we take with us as an awareness. It's a little bit insane that you preach domination in Congress, you preach eviction, you preach taking out and killing. This is happening, and it didn't happen just in this. It happened the last time. Whether you like your president or not, they don't deserve to die, because there are people, we the people, have asked, please protect us. Our border control was number one. It was out of control. And now we have this 47 years of Iran. But yet we still have people coming from horrible places, blue states, that want to come and convince that this man is evil, convince that the rest was not, just this one. And he needs to go. Somebody needs to take him out. They are preaching this. Senator, governors, stop it. You're creating this division. You're creating this ugliness. Why? Because your sheep are listening to you. For the love of God and the love of our country and the love of humanity, can we stop the rhetoric? Can we just pause and ponder where we've come from? Why the anger, the hatred, the dissolutions? This is the first time the United States has been in a division. And when we start thinking about it, we're like, what was the influx at the time? Was it immigration at the time? Was it everybody coming over for the new world? Was it the different ideologies and old belief systems? Was it, oh my gosh, there's a world of things that we can uncover. Not just the present moment. We're going to do history just to see if we can't ponder to learn something. Because that's why we have history. We have history so that we can actually think about what it is that we're doing, and maybe we can learn something from our forefathers, from those of our pride, our brothers and sisters of arms who have gone before us, right? It includes natives, Native Americans, Native Indians, whatever you want to politically call it, right? Words and tones matter. Yes, they do. Words and tones matter. So today, let's just start. Let's get organized here. Let's start before we get into the pondering things. Let's look at some of these other isolations, and how we always start is, what does the angels want us to know today? I love starting my day with this, and hopefully you will too. So today is April number 4, the 27th, such a good number. And it also is 2026. So when we add 42726, we get the number I don't like to read it in advance. It's a 3. It's a 3. So today we're learning into trilogy. So today, by the combination of 042726, which is April the 27th in the year of 2026, we get a trilogy number. It's a 3. It represents the law of the triangle, right? Father, Son, Holy Ghost. It is also considered the most sacred and holy. The angels want you to know that a highly evolved guide, such as an ascending master or saint, is supporting you and guiding you on your path at this point in time. The angel power word today is the attraction. What is your attraction? How does that feel for you? What attracts you? So in our study today, we're going to do the love of our country. So what was the attraction of the America, the free world? What was that? Let's ponder. I love to ponder. I love to, it's not a weakness. It's not a deliberate. It is a way where we can really sit back, look, and control our thoughts. Because most of the time our thoughts, as we know, it's by our peers, it's by our ego, and it's by our judgment. We need to cut those to live in such a beautiful place and to understand that God is the creator. So that's a beautiful power word. So the numbers also contain, here we go. Now we're going to break it down even further for today. Our angel number also contains the number 42, right? So when you take the 4 and the 2 of the 27, that's the Roman. And these are romance angels, that 4 and 2, and are around you at the moment. Look out, suavecito, here we come today. They have heard your prayers associated with love. They are working behind the scenes to bring you that perfect love or to enhance the relationship that you are currently in. Oh, that's so beautiful today. So happy fornicating out there today. If that's what you want to do, then you go do it. And you could just snuggle with somebody and be close to them and drain out the rest of the world. That's how I look at that. How beautiful. Also, we have the number 72. God has heard your prayers. It is manifesting please and response. The angels have been sent to say that they would like you to look at all the things you are opposing right now in your life. I love how these numbers work. Opposing things in your life. You don't like, they're distracted. You just don't like it. So the opposite side of attraction is opposition, and sometimes the very thing we are being guided to do to bring in extra abundance in is the thing that we are opposing. Wow. So we're opposing something, not being aware because of our judgment and our ego that this might be bountiful. This might be an abundance thing. Why am I arguing over this? Why? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it in these seeds of ours that we're so angry? Because it's telling us this is an abundance. This is love. This is understanding. This is caring. Wow. And we're opposed to an opposition, but the opposition is to bring that. So most people don't understand that we are in life lessons because we have a tragedy. We fall, but we always pick ourselves up and go, whoa, that was tough. That was hard. That was heart aching. My empathy couldn't handle it. Empathy. Okay. People with empathy, turn it to compassion and turn it to clairsentient, because there's no reason why you need to feel somebody else's pain. You have to understand it. Right? So you can console it, or you could assist it if you are service to others, which if you're a military person, you are already service to others. We're going to get into that. We're going to finish here because I just couldn't believe it's telling us this, right? Being the extra abundance is in the thing that we are opposing. Woo! See, if we get out of anger, maybe the abundance is there. I had to learn that. I was a very, very stout, and a lot of people can't believe it, but I will run you over, I will knock you over, and I will punch you in your throat chakra. That was the person I was. I had to heal that, right? But the courage, pride, and anger, the military inside of me, courage, pride, and anger, and I enlisted. I didn't draft. I would have too. You know, people are in uproar, but we'll get to that too. Let's continue with the angels because there's so much to talk about today. So the angels are also contained in number 26. The angels know that you feel empowered when you feel compassion for others. They now ask that you feel the same compassion for yourself. Most people who are woo pity me, right? Or they'll type it on Facebook that they're upset or they're whatever. This is how these are. This is what's going on, right? They ask you to feel the same compassion for yourself that you have for others, but you don't have it for yourself. If you don't have that compassion for yourself, then you cannot serve others. It will fall every time because your ego and your judgment will get in your way. Listen to that one because that's huge in organizing or disassembling the unconsciousness within our bodies because we don't understand where we picked some of these things up, but they're there. How are they there? Well, because most of us don't remember birth to 5 years old unless there was some type of trauma or there was a devastation. So when we have those types of things, then it becomes just a little bit more peculiar in how we are moving forward, right? So much anger, so much distress. Yeah. So compassion. I told you that was my word of this year. And it's coming up all the time. Where is our compassion? The angels know that you feel empowered when you feel compassion for others. You are empowered when you can actually feel for somebody else. The problem exists is when you don't have that same compassion for yourself. It's very important that you say no to requests that make you feel uneasy. Trust that these sensations in your body, as these are your inner compasses. So if you really don't want to do it, but you understand that somebody asked you, a parent, a sister, somebody very close to you, a good friend has asked you to do something, but you really want to say no, but your compassion drives you to say yes, you're defeating yourself. There's always plausibilities, perhaps perspectives, suggestions, right? Probables, everything else, but the avenue that they want you to take. It's okay if you don't want to take it. It is truly okay. Because this all comes back into who we are and how we learn this energetic process of an event. So you have to trust these sensations in your body when you feel them. A no is a no. Compassion for others. I understand. I have that compassion. I feel it deeply. This is not my event. We need to separate those events, right? You stop harboring, MJ, I'm not going to demand you just, I'm going to tell myself, I need to stop harboring my upsetness that others are painful going through. And I need to leave it in their event. It's not my event. I'm just an awareness. I'm just the observer. I'm just the person here, the wall, who you can yell, cry, be angry, not physically hurt me, but I'm here to look at you and say, I'm honoring your feelings. Are you honoring mine? Especially in a back and forth where we don't see eye to eye today. Keep that in mind. I love angels. They just speak. And then, of course, today is 27. It's a 9. It is your time to shine, my friend. The angels encourage you to tap into your creative skills and talents. Believe in and trust in your innate creative genius. And don't be afraid to share it with the world. Wow, this is so beautiful. People today, get on that fire horse, that Aries fire horse, the Chinese zodiac, and they're here. Get on it. Plow down these obstacles and these debacles that are all part of us not being able to move forward. And this just is just so beautiful because it leads right into there, right? And you're like, yeah, well, where were the angels this weekend? And where were the angels? And I understand. But please understand as well, you're thinking, where were they for protection? And I'm thinking they did. The awareness of any attack that is unsuccessful is still an awareness that it exists. Thank you to the angels, to the Templars, to every single support system that there is of protection that we have. Every single one of us. I also this weekend, before I dive into the love of our country, I had a hard time trying to pick a topic there. So there's so many topics that we could pick today of our world at large. And so when I was inquiring with different people, what do you think I should talk about? What would you like me to express? This is kind of how I pick my topics. Anybody have something, and write it in saying, MJ, next week, can we talk about blah, blah, blah? Absolutely. If I don't know a subject, it's always great pondering. And this is where I think podcasters, news media, whatever, it's not anybody else's truth except my own when you ponder. This is just, I'm pondering these true thoughts in my head. What ifs? I'm a why girl. So when things are not 100% balanced, I'm a why. I'm a what if, right? What if we change? What if we did this? What if I put my mindset in this pattern? What if I did? Why do I care what is happening right there when I am fine? Everything is on me is okay. I feel good. I'm in present. I have no problems in my life right now. I hired you to do a task. I don't know about you. I went to school for business development, right? So I'm a developer. I give tasks to certain individuals. Once I give that task, I'm not micromanaging you. I'm allowing you to go on your own. If you have issues, right, or there's problems that exist, then as an owner, I need to step in, right? How come we have these issues? Did we follow protocol? Did we follow our procedures? Did we follow these things? Well, there are always an order. Everything has an order. When order doesn't exist, then we have chaos that exists, right? There's too much confusion, surprise attack, surprise this. Okay, so we are human beings, and as human beings, we don't like change. Change is very uncomfortable for the higher majority of people. However, when things aren't working and change is asking to be there because it's not working for your fellow American citizens, but then the change comes and now it's not working for you. And you're like, well, oh, great. So it was working for me and now it's not. So now we have to really let's just go into our funnel of pondering, break it down into a funnel. Where are we? Right? Okay. You understand that we go through a change almost every 4 years, unless we reelect the same administration. And then when that happens, where is your ego and where is your judgment upon what is not happening for the other people? Right? We were told about healthcare way back when they were changing this whole healthcare system because it wasn't working. Well, what they didn't realize is the longer that the healthcare system goes on, it got more expensive and everything that was promised was moved away. Every single one of us, including the VA, are having these issues right now. It has become the elite of the elite with the monies, paying professionals, paying for things that we don't have here in the United States. So can you see how this just starts to escalate problems? Year goes up, year goes up. Taxes. These people who are running our states, you keep implying taxes. Well, when you start just doing stuff like that, you're taking out your workers, you're taking out your middleman people. If you don't know how to run a government or a state or a municipality, and you don't know how to budget, people start watching who you're voting for in your little communities, in your cities. And if you don't know how to balance a budget, and you don't know how to understand the way economy works, when you raise taxes or you raise minimum wage, the middleman suffers. The people with all the money don't suffer. They don't care. Well, here you go. Here's a few mil. Ask any president, because those elites, those aristocrats, they'll give billions of dollars for the elected people. And they push with that money, with commercials, with obscenities, with the watch. Okay. Love of our country. Is that love to torment? Is it love to hate? Is it the love of our country not to understand safety, procedures, laws, boundaries, rules? Where is the love of the country? To accept, well, it's not fair. No, I understand, because we're going to get into all of this. And I really want you to think about this. I really want you to think about things that are associating you today with your anger and your frustration. Or maybe you are just in total peace and love because you're finally at peace knowing you're protected. Or somebody cares that you're protected. I care. I care about my brothers and sisters of arms. Whether you were shoved in the military and you didn't want to, like a draft, which is the common right now, people with the draft. And you know what I'm more upset about with the draft? And I was talking to my mom this weekend about it. I go, I'm not upset that they put the draft in. The draft is draft, because they're finding out that maybe some of the people who went into the service were there to collect a paycheck because the family didn't have money. They didn't have an education. They didn't know what they wanted. So they used our government to take them from an I don't know to a give me something. And that's exactly what Uncle Sam did. But now you're mad at him because now you're out and now you don't know what to do. Well, who told you to go in to be a freaking mechanic on high craft or high end fighter pilots? What logic did you have of saying this is great, but if I ever step out, what am I going to do? How am I going to utilize this information? Well, you could go to another airport and mechanics. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But this is the mindset. There's people who were in the Vietnam. I was talking to my mom, and she was like, I have multiple people in the military. She goes, I can't believe you tried to go enlist again after you're disabled. She goes, you think they're going to take you? They left you go. I go, you never know. Advancements. Yes, I went to sign back up, and no, they didn't take me. But I wanted to get back into the military because there's nothing wrong with my brain. Okay, so there's something wrong with my hips down. But if my brothers of arms are actually motivated going into, then who's going to take their place here? Answering phones or directing people or making understandings on Zooms, right? Or helping free up the mind as a reverend in solitude and prayer. These are things that I was capable of doing, and I was willing to do it for my brothers and sisters. Too old? Too disabled? They don't want me back. However, there's people out there who look at it and they're angry. Oh, I didn't get this. Vietnam people. That age bracket, baby boomers. Where are they? Oh, well, he got it and I didn't. Well, he has Ancient Orange. You don't. He was on the front line. You weren't. You were in the BMX over in some freaking island. Or you were over in, the United States taking care of their air bases, but you weren't on the front line. So how plausible is it that you want exactly what that person has? Because you're in the military. unwillingly drafted, pissed off, but now they won everything in the world. But there's nothing wrong with them. They didn't get injured. They did however many years, and they came out. They got paid to sit at a BMX or whatever, drive. But yet you're mad. Okay. You could have stayed, they drafted, yes, because they needed able bodies for positions that weren't warranted. I think that was beautiful. I don't think that they need to segregate us like they have been. My thing was, when I heard about the men for the draft, was what happened to the women? Hey, you Me Too movements. What? We're not part of the draft now? Haven't we come so far to not be part of the draft or to be in the draft? But we're not allowed to be in the draft? P. Hegseth, I'm talking to you. Secretary of Defense. Right? How come it's only drafting men? How come we're not drafting women? Most of the time, I understand. It's callous to demand somebody to do something, but you're living here free world. It's not free. I'm paying taxes. Oh, well, guess what? Move. Leave the country. You don't like paying taxes, or talk to all your representatives who just want to increase your taxes. Yes, I'm talking to mostly these governors of states who are doing nothing but increasing the amount. Look at New Jersey. Look at Virginia. Look at these Colorado, California. Oh my God, the price that you people are paying, and you're still living in those states. That's a lot of money. And they keep raising the taxes and raising the taxes. Josh Shapiro here in Pennsylvania, shame on you. I know a lot of people want you out because of that. You can't keep pulling taxes to make your lifestyle better. That's what they're doing. Mandani. That's the socialism doesn't work. Now all your big money people are leaving. It's a ponder again. Oh, why? Where is it? Is that in my journey? No. Right now, I don't have to worry with taxes like you all do in those states. I don't. Not yet. So I know it's there. Right? And I know my friends and family, I feel the compassion for them, but they have choices. We always have choices. We can move. It was getting so crowded in Florida. I moved. Love the rules, love the thing, but I couldn't stay there anymore. It's completely just overcrowded now. And guess who with? Those people we just talked about, with California people, New Jersey, Vermont, all of these blue states came into the red states. Why? Change. Ponderings of change led to their love of their country, where they wanted to feel at peace and safe and not being taken for granted or not being robbed by your elected officials. My thought, my words, that's how I feel. What's that sign say? My cave, my rules. It's just how I feel. It's a pondering. Whether you believe that to be your truth or not, it's okay. It's okay. So we went 33 minutes. I need to take a little bit of a break here. And then once we come back, we're going to bomb it right into what happened to the love of our country. So we're going to change that dynamic a little bit from love of our country to what happened. Where did the vision start? How did it start? Let's ponder. Let's dive into that. You listen to MJ right here. The world of conscious positive thinking. Pondering is thinking. And we're right here on mbradio.us. Let me just go take a quick beaker type of a break, and then we'll take a Coffee Anderson bigger break at the top of the hour. So let's go to Beaker and see what he's up to in these calm waters these days.
Even ducks know the calmest waters come after the storm.
Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this: storms pass.
Tough times don't last,
but tough people do. Every setback is just a setup for a comeback. Keep quacking forward. 90% of what we worry about in future never happens. Whenever things get rough or it feels like you're at the edge, remember this: storms pass. Tough times don't last, but tough people do.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
Look at that fancy beaker. He has his little tuxedo on today. Look at that guy. He's so fancy. Okay. What happened to the love of our country? Let's dive into this. There was a time when love of country felt like a shared frequency. Steady, present, quietly understood. Negatives were always in the background, not for everybody's knowledge. It lived in the background of everyday life. That vibration, that frequency. Look at it. 70s, 80s. People were coming back from Vietnam. People were balanced. People were happy. We weren't such a global TV sharing. It was just a more calm. Now, I say that because as a child, I would never pay attention to what's going on in the world. However, if you would ask somebody who was a thriving, person on Capitol Hill, they would tell you that there is that same commotion going on. Is there? I mean, I know the deep state has been around since JFK. The deep state, taking out individuals, started. We know this with Lindenberg. We know this. The old Mr. Johnson. We're now finding out how many facts about that and how much discretions and how much was hidden from public eye. However, was it any of our business? Truly what they do in their personal life? Or is it now that you're going to judge that person because of their choosing? Be careful how you judge others when you open up your own bag. And then you'll get the reverbio of somebody who says, well, I didn't run for office. Oh, so morally you can defile another woman while being married to a woman and have another relationship on the side going on. But because you're not running for office, it's okay. Be careful, men out there and women, because I know who you are and you know who you are. A sacred vow is a sacred vow. So be careful how we think, because this is our pondering. Remember, we're pondering. How am I ridiculing somebody else when I did the same thing? It's different. You can say whatever. You can say whatever. Marilyn Monroe didn't have anything underage. She wasn't underage. She consciously had made a choice. Lewinsky consciously made a choice. Whatever that other girl, blonde, consciously made a choice. So did these men to have slush funds. Huh. Pretty sick. However, that's a judgment. It's a judgment out of your mouth. It's an event that those people had to go through. For better, for worse, for ugly, no matter what. They were here on an event to figure out, are you going to do this or are you not? Which way are you going to go this time? Are you going to go this way, this way? How's it going to work? It's the proverbial relationship that cheats. Swears to God, because they got caught, they're not going to do it again. But they do it again. And of course, they say, of course, I won't do it again. And they do it again. So why even stay within the relationship? If you truly can't give your love to your country, to a relationship, to a friendship, to a family member, why not just cut it off? Where are we? We're pondering. What has us tied? Or why is it that you choose to lie, cheat. I don't know. Pretty ugly words. But think about it before you start judging Matt Lauer. Look at Matt Lauer. Good Morning America. Judgment, judgment, judgment. Every time he's spoken to that microphone, judgment. And he did the same thing. Letitia James, judgment, same thing. People making choices, and then they want to get mad because their choice now backfired on them. Ellen DeGeneres can't get back in the United States right now. Rosie O'Donnell cannot get back in the United States right now. They chose to separate themselves, realizing it's not so good somewhere else. That grass wasn't greener, was it? You chose your ego and you chose your judgments by peer pressure. And now look at you, pondering, what choice did I just make that was that harmful? Pondering. It's not always perfect, and it's not always loud, but still, it's deeply felt, this frequency. It lives in the background of everyday life, that frequency of just wanting peace and love. If any of you are waking up and having ugliness or anger or resentment because you woke up and because who's in office, you need help. I don't care if it was Biden if you said it during Biden or Obama or Carter, or you need help if you're waking up with that in your mind. It can't be there. It can't. It can't, because you then throw your balance completely off once you open up your eyes. You set the course instead of smiling and thanking God and being gracious of a beautiful, wonderful day that you are okay. Remember? Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Nope. I have no pain. I have no issues. I have no bother. I have no ailment. I feel awesome. Good morning. How blessed of a morning you have to wake up and see some of the most incredible views that man can't make. Only God can make, in the skies, in our waters, and our forests. The beautiful people who walk before you with knowledge that you don't have, with wisdoms and experiences that you don't have, but contribute to a whole of our country every day. Today, something feels different about our energy, right? I can only speak for my genre, my Gen Xers. Growing up where I could ride my bike until the street light came on, walking up mountains and hills not worrying that someone's going to apprehend a child or rape me, living in such a freeness. Can't do that today. Not even in the small town I grew up in. That's pretty sad. So many are asking, what happened? Where did that connection go? Why? For the love of God, why? Why are we in this? These are these pondering questions. I'm a why girl. I'm a what girl. I will ask questions until something within my soul feels right. And then if it's wrong, then we just have to go with the wrongness of it. We have to change our perspectives. We have to change the ideologies. We have to. I know my instructors are like, have to. My masters. Yeah, have to. You can't keep going down. That is a depression. That is anger. That's resentment. You got to figure out a way. Talk to somebody who can be a wall for you. If you don't, put it in. Call us up or write to us. We'll be a wall. Good soldiers will stand there as you yell and cry or come into pain. And they'll look at you and they'll be like, you're all right. Nothing physically is happening to you. Get your mind off of social media and the TV. It's rhetoric. It's a perspective that is tarnishing that love of our country. Please, when rhetoric starts turning violent, That's sad. That's extremely sad. And to know this weekend, again, I'm going to make this statement. That person was a teacher. Imagine living in California knowing that your child went to that teacher. 68%. 68%. That's a big number of that type of democratic radical thinking. 68%. What is happening to our children? Are we thinking about this? It's so scary. Or you know that there's a teacher who's a pedophile or who got in. A teacher. Maybe they, instead of worrying about gun laws, maybe they started really looking at the backgrounds of teachers, their emotional psyche, their counseling. What are you teaching our children? I have grandchildren. Thank gosh, they're not in one of those states. That's sad. And then to know that the mental health is 73% of that same energetic field. Come on, people. We are so better. We are better than the talk in our ear. We are so much better. Look at the country that has survived. The people who want to be United States Americans. Look at it. Ponder these things. I implore you. I'm not saying act. I'm saying write them down, jot them down, journal, whatever happened. Your fingers in your brain to write. It's so connected, and it's so it alleviates like you couldn't speak. Sometimes we don't speak because we know that it's going to cause an argument, or it's going to cause a debacle. It's going to cause a battle. It's going to cause a conflict somehow, some way. So we choose not to speak. People go, it's lying. I'm like, it's not lying. For whatever reason, they didn't have the courage, or they had fear in order to speak. So who created that fear to speak? Or was it after they did their choice of whatever they did, is it now they're realizing going, oh my God, why did I just do that to myself? Now they're struggling because the choice that they made wasn't probably the best choice. From an intellectual perspective, the idea of country, right? You'll see country, right? Man, country has expanded. Nations that were once defined by land, shared struggle, and a more unified identity. But over time, globalization, technology, and constant access to information have widened our awareness beyond borders. Look at trades. Start thinking that borders. What does our borders? Imports, exports, trades, immigrations, travelers, visitors, our borders, safety, defense, guarded by some of the most beautiful angels I've ever seen. Yeah. Widens our awareness beyond that approach for our borders. People now connect not only to where they are from, also what they believe in, what they value, and how they see the world. So 250 years ago, pondering, this is our society that we had. This was immigrants, French, Italian, German, England, Switzerland, Turkey, Czechoslovakia, Europeans coming in, conquering the new world. We can go from state to state and have different belief patterns, old belief systems that no longer work anymore, that some states have modified or changed with the assistance of the federal government. Honors and kudos to you to understand that change has to happen. But did you change too fast for some? Did you make change that only benefited you? Did you consider everybody? Heal us first, heal the nations, right? Heal us first. Have we healed that in order for it to move forward? On the awareness that that's what that person was going to run for? The awareness. They always have them. From the smallest municipality governor to the president of the United States. They must write out what they're running for. We learned this, oh my goodness, if you didn't pay attention in school, but we learned this in student government. It's there. The simplest form is there, sweethearts. It's there. So as an awareness expands, then our loyalty becomes more complex, right? As we expand this, it invites deeper reflections. What does my country represent? What does it represent now? 250 years ago, 100 years ago, even 50 years ago. What the hell happened the last 20, 25 years? What does our country now represent? Are we no better than France? Because when you look at France, it's not a judgment. They have certain criterias. You can be who you want. You could dress. You could have surgeries. You could do whatever, but then nobody knows who you are. Talk about AI. Transgender is the biggest AI there is. Literally. Literally. And then there's some people who went through transgender who didn't even have a choice. Talk about drafting. These parents and these doctors did this to these children, and I know some of them. My heart, my compassion. There it is. Big, deep breath. United States, and like every country that I've ever been to open up businesses or operations, or they all have their own laws. They all have their own governments, and they all run differently. You don't like it? Get out. Ask Ellen DeGeneres or Rosie O'Donnell. Ask them. But they all have them. They all have their ways. Trinidad, I know very well. They don't pay taxes unless you want to leave the country. Once you want to leave the country, now you got to figure out, did you pay your taxes? They don't care about United States taxes. They only care for the Trinidadians who are leaving the island to come out. I knew this when I was married to a Trinidadian. They had to always come up and pay their, imagine. So imagine you're saving your money to go on a vacation. And then the government goes, oh, well, you owe me 10,000, whatever. You're like, wait, what? So now you saved your money, but now you have to pay the taxes. Did you know about the taxes? Could you pay them in advance? No. Now, hopefully they changed that since 30 years ago, but it was crazy. I went down and watched a hanging. They live hung, just like Iran. If you allow the people to see what the heck's going on, sometimes they're smart enough to go, ooh, I might not steal. Ooh, I might not do that. Ooh, I might not kill, because that's going to happen to me. The awareness. But when you hide stuff like lethal injections or whatever, and you don't show them, and you don't prove to people this is what's happening, because people forget, because it's not their journey. It's not their event. Right? It's an awareness. Do my values align with this expansion? Do we ask ourselves that? What is my rule with this within this expansion? Where is my peace? Where can I find peace? If I didn't vote for this administration, these are my questions. Where do my values align right now? How can I align my values with the energy that's happening? What does those values aligning mean to me? And what is my rule within that, right? These are all hyperbolas, and these are all things that we already know to be true. We already understand that these are true. We already understand that just because we're not ready doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going forward. How about that? Does that make sense? So for me, I think it'd be better if I sit quietly. How is this affecting me? How are we moving forward? What do we need to do next in order to balance? I may not like it, but I know it's only like 3 or 4 years I have to deal with this, and then I can just vote for something else. And maybe it's in my corner. But why do I have to get angry over it? Why do I have to be pissed off over it? That's unhealed. That's a lot of unhealedness. A lot of unhealedness. And that is something that I pray every day, that people find healing and people find somebody. That's what I hope for. So one of the things this year, it wasn't planned like this, but one of the things this year was I went to different locations that I was being called to go to. Didn't realize why. And it had nothing to do with what we planned, my husband and I planned. It was like I had more Native Indian energy, more Civil War knowledge that I didn't know, more spiritualness in God's eyes, and just phenomenal scenery of epicness that God created. And so when I look back at the chaos of the world, it didn't affect me. I wasn't on my TVs. I wasn't on the computers. I wasn't on my phones. It was just pure beauty of God and how we relate. I understand people say, oh, I have to work. No, you have choices. If you don't like where you work, then you don't do it anymore and you go to something else until you find your balance. But you can't sit here and complain about it. Nobody wants to hear you complain. So at that, we have to just figure out how we keep advancing forward, and so that we can, balance with the rest of the world when we have to. It's not always about an argument. It's not always about a fight. It's not always about, being right. Oh, I'm right. Right. You're right, because my friend told me so. He's sitting there. Okay. An eyewitness. I go back to Big Bang with Penny, right? Oh, Leonard, you're going to believe your friends' eyes and their words and your own eyes towards my actions, and you're not going to believe me. Okay. Right. And I get that. However, I know that I could go to a conference and I could put notes on my book, and you could go to the same conference and you could put notes on your book. And when we compare notes, they're different. Why is that? Maybe because what you wrote, I had already learned. What I wrote, I had no idea. And maybe what I wrote, you had already learned. So you see how perspective is going to change the dynamic? Ponder it. Think about just logical, your own kids or your own family. You make a comment and then all of a sudden you see somebody. Sorry, I have something in my eye. You see somebody and you're like, what are you doing? You're like, well, you said. I'm like, oh my God. I never thought of that perspective for you to take that way. I extremely apologize on my part for not being more thorough. That's not quite what I meant. So it does happen. Why? Because we all learn on a different path. We all learn at different times, and we all become aware at different things. Does that make sense? Okay. So now let's look back. The energy of the Civil War, since I told you that. I said with compassion, the Civil War has everywhere we went for 3 months. Didn't matter where I was. Something always popped up about the Civil War. And maybe because we're in the year 20, the 250th year. I don't know. I don't know. But I find it to be quite humorous. And I find it to be great. I also find that there are some very radical-minded people, even in these little places where it's very quiet, and they want to talk about that. I think for the first time in my life, as being a healer or a reverend, I chose to tell them it's not my time to listen. It's my time to just be in peace. I'm extremely apologetics, but this is how I feel. So, I don't know. I don't know how to explain, if I'm just going to come out with it. For me, when I don't appreciate, I back up. I've learned to stay. Oh my gosh. If you were watching clips of this weekend, look how poised and calm some of those people were. JD Vance, very poised and calm. Like, hey, man, I got you. And he walked out. Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, those who wore the uniform, calm within the chaos. Be aware. That's the stance right now. If you're a military veteran, you start becoming aware of every perspective out there. Every line, every library. I don't look on Facebook. These things, these social medias, people are. This is change. This is where the love of our country. If you ponder it, who cares what you have to say? People go, who cares what you have to say on here? I don't, which is why I try my hardest. I don't try. I do. I do my hardest. I don't try. I do my hardest to speak freely to anybody who is struggling. And maybe I'll hit a topic where that might hit and help you. Because as we start going through this, it starts getting very elongated. It starts getting very full. So here we are. We're going to look back on the energy of the Civil War in comparisons to now. Comparisons, how about we just line them up? The energies. The energies are who was the philosopher who said, the history of the world repeats itself. Fashions, musics, they start to repeat themselves and they go through these cycles. Can't remember who that philosopher was, but it's starting to really resound for me. And it's starting to really look like the truth. I got to take another break, folks. Let me go into, let's do coffee right now. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, getting into the patriotic feelings. And then we're going to kick it back off with the energy of the Civil War and see the love of our country. You're listening to mberadio.us. I am MJ here with the world of conscious positive thinking, and we'll be right back in about 4 minutes. See you soon.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes, hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop. And his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. Oh. marching line. Hey. Hey.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at nbradio.net.
All right, here we are. We're back. Okay, so now we're going to take the energy of the Civil War and we're going to try to become aware again, or just observe and ponder of this energy. So to understand it today, it helps to feel into another time when our nation actually faced a very profound identity shift. And that was the American Civil War. Physically, the divide was clear and structured. Different economies, right? Different laws, different interpretations of our Constitution. Sound familiar? States reached a point where separation felt like the only path forward. Spiritually, the energy was intense and undeniable. A nation confronting itself, a moral reckoning to balance, to align, and to cherish our brothers and sisters on earth. A question echoed through every level of society. What does freedom truly mean to you? What does freedom mean? When you stop and think, what is freedom? Why do we have our freedoms? Why did our ancestors, our forefathers, escape Europe to come for freedom? Ponder these questions. Ask yourself these things. If you don't remember high school, look it up. This was not surface disagreements. This was existential. The two fundamentally different visions of reality occupying that same space. Right? The Yanks, Confederates, two different ideologies, two different points of views, two different old belief systems carried from Europe. Immigrants coming in, different belief patterns, different belief systems. Today's landscape, the fragmentations and the reinterpretations. So now we're going to bring this awareness to the present moment. In modern political eras, including our leadership under Barack Obama and Joe Biden, the nation carries a different kind of tension since that time frame. Physically, the systems are still intact. Government functions, elections occur, the Constitution remains the foundation, even as its interpretation is discussed, challenged, and revisited. I want to ponder on that because when I was writing the show out, where did we come from? Europe. Almost every single one of us came from Europe. The immigrations who colonized the United States 250 some years ago, right? They started. So those belief patterns were from Europe. Now, within Europe, they had the aristocrats. They had the monarchies. They had the kings and the queens. Where's that king movement? Which is so silly because that's why they fled here. We don't want that. We want a parliament where we, the people, speak and we, the people, get to vote, right? If you have a family of 5 and they say, hey, where do you want to go out to dinner? And 3 people say Italian and 2 people say, I don't know, Chinese. Well, majority wins. Sorry for you two. Maybe next time we'll do Chinese since you two lost. I don't know. But do you understand? Parliamentary procedures, we, the people, had to change. Not monarchy, not one person ruling the lands, but that's where they came from. Ponder this. Government functions, elections occur, these interpretations of discussions, these challenges, and then they have to revision it. Spiritually, the energy feels very, it feels more fragmented, not two sides rather than many voices. Not separation into nations, rather a divergence into our perspectives. A collective asking us, who are we now? Who are we? Who is this country? What is this country? All of this, not separation into nations, rather than a divergence in our perspectives, but who are we now? Where are we? We're getting ready to celebrate 250 years and I don't think we know who we are. That's my ponder. How can we make that better? Why don't people want to cherish that love of the country or the love of the nation? You'll get spirituals like, well, MJ, we have to love all. Well, if you don't love yourselves in your own country, you can't love those countries. Oh, but I do. No, you don't. There is separation. And any spiritualist who tells me, it's not true, it is the truth. Because you vote. It's your free country to vote. It's your right. It's your choice. Get it? There's an imbalance, right? Yes. We are God of the cloth. We are that person who wants peace and we want this. But even the militaries all have a reverend. They all have a priest or a reverend inside. Why? Because they're Templars. Because we honor, balance God, man, and country. For better or worse, God, man, and country. That is service to others. That is where military is. Not fighting your president, not fighting your commander in chief, not fighting the egologicals or the things that the other people, we the people, wanted. We had to do the same. No matter what president came in, we had to honor it. Not so much sure there was so much ugliness in fighting that or killing of that or disruption of community. I can't sit here and say that. I don't want to, because I know what the Civil War was about. The rule of immigration and expanding belief systems. Let's ponder. I just said there are so many belief systems of the Civil War, bringing them over from Europe. And Europe still has some of that. They still have some of those ideologies and aristocratics and monarchies and divine power of money. Look at Soros. Look at the other tycoon in China who paid for all of these disruptions and all of these protests and all of the agitators. These are people outside the United States paying for our country to come into confusion, to disalign, padding pockets. Why? Because the money inside of the United States, the number one nation in our world, the money. People talk when money puts in their pocket. And their choice was to take the money. Not the choice of right, wrong, and different. The choice was, I have a starving child, I'm taking the money. Tell me what I need to do. I pray that was philosophy, that they had a reason to have to take the money to act in the accordance of the way they are acting. How much are we getting paid? How many times have you heard that? The rhetoric, the brainwashing. This is coming from two tycoons that don't even live in the United States, that want to hurt the United States, that party is actually following these people. But if you want that, then go back to Europe, where your fathers and your ancestors first came from. Why not? You're so angry. I'm pondering this. These are things to ponder. But why? If you're so angry, you're so upset. Well, this is my country. But it was your country the last 5 years, and it turned upside down. People are bitching about gas, but gas was higher 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And we're actually in a war. Not a war. We're settling it after almost 50 years. Change your perspective when you want to get angry. Change it. Why am I angry on this perspective? Change it. Well, there's death. I've seen death. I was a war veteran. I was on that front line. I know. Okay. It was your choice. It's like my choice. I'm a patriot. Where there's an imbalance, where there's low vibration, where there is something that could cause any type of disruption. Know the facts. Look at some of the military. Look at CENTCOM. Look at some of the libraries out there showing you where the uranium went to, showing you where the nukes are, showing you people in place right now by nuclear power plants. Ponder. Ponder. Ponder, ponder, ponder. Good morning, David. I am feeling so much better. I've been to my pondering, my whys, that why girl, that the gurus of why. That's me. The rule of immigration expansion, the perspective of the new belief systems enter and have already established culture. Pressure forms. That pressure can feel like a disruption. Okay. I married a Cuban. Look at the Spanish that has come into our country to even change our English to Spanish. That's the goal. And it's been creeping and creeping and creeping and creeping all this time since Carter. Wet foot, dry foot. President Carter. The change. When you're immigrants 250 years ago, there was English. They could have speak whatever language they wanted, but it was English. Just that small little thing. Spanish and English. So now you have people going, why am I fighting? I mean, it's good to learn different languages. That's great. But don't ask me to change in my own damn country. That's my awareness and my perspective. This is where I was born. I don't go to somebody else's country, and I worked in a lot of these countries. No, I had an earpiece in, and I had an interpreter. Respect. I honored them. Didn't expect them to know what my language was, because I'm a foreigner in their land. I was a guest, an honorable guest, that they allowed me to create such a beautiful fishing or hunting. I was a guest. So I conformed. Our workers conformed. If it was in Brazil, they learned Portuguese. If it was in Argentina, they learned the Italian Spanish mesh, right? Dialects. It's as simple, very simple. Historically, this has always been part of the American experiences, the melting pot. Waves of immigration into the 19th century reshaped our communities, our values, and our structural structures. But did they? Let's ponder that. Let's ponder that in New York. My family, Irish Italians, they were caged. People don't realize that the immigrants, the Irish and Italian and German immigrants, mostly Irish and Italians for whatever reason, were caged, 4 people to a cage in New York City. But they don't talk about that. Wow. Caged. You're worried about Alcatraz. You're worried about Everglades Alcatraz. Or you're worried about where they're putting them. They were in a cage, 4 to a cage, where all they could do is sit like this. Perspective. Again, perspectives. Look it up if you don't believe me. It's all there. Get into the right libraries instead of social medias, because social medias is opinionated perspectives. And that is all it is. Today continues this pattern. In Miami, there are so many Central American and South American people, and they're so used to having their little vendors on the side of the street selling, I don't know, palm nuts and waters, just like they do in those third world countries. Well, guess what happens in Miami? Now you have these countries all coming in, and they're making these shanty shacks like they would in their third country. They're selling things on the side of the street. They're disrupting the flow of traffic, trying to get in and out of the cars. And they don't speak English. They only speak Spanish. So Governor DeSantis, where are you? Where's the order? Where are you? It's a free country. I get it. But where are you that it's causing this disruption while other people have to have permits and licenses and 10,000 million things to own a small business, which was the land of the United States. Come here, start your business, own your company, blah, 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 build your own brand. But instead, what happened? Immigration comes over into Ellis Island, into New York City, and now we have Chinatown, and we have Little Italy, and we have Little Havana. So now we're letting them in, but we're still segregating them. We're still segregating. Philly, same way. Chinatown, Italy, right? Miami, Little Havana, Little Cuba, Little Haitian. Like, they're segregating. You're not balancing. Oh, I'll let you in. No. And most of them don't even have their legal citizenships to be here. But they're segregating our communities. I'm coming into an awareness, not that it's good, bad, and different. Where's our leaders melting them in? Where's our teachers melting them in? Where's our mental people melting them into society? Where's our border control? Making sure that the people who are here and being processed into visas are doing their green card is applicable, so it's more able to be screened and able to be affordable to be here. Where are they? Where are they? Well, how many years now later, 20-something years later, now we're worrying about the people, or the millions that have come in, 30, 40 million that we don't even know. Look at Minnesota. These are things that are now an awareness that we didn't do. When you don't do things, they stack. So new perspectives, traditions, the ways of understanding life naturally interact with the existing ones that they brought with them. This interaction can create discomfort, reflection, and at times resistance. Because, well, I didn't ask for that change. How did that get here? I didn't ask for it. Perspective. But that's going to cause issues. So now we have another imbalance, right? It can also create growth, innovation, and a broader sense of identity, a broader sense of identity of who we all are and what we can bring forward. Beautiful food taste in our mouth, beautiful clothing, hairstyles, technologies. They have a different learning. Let's go back. This is what I learned. Perspective. This is what you learned prospectively. Your notes and my notes combined makes a full class, because we took out of context what it was that we were missing in our perspective. Ponder it. It all will make sense. I promise you. The idea that this contributes to calls for change holds really some truth. Cultural shifts often influence government's a big one, but they influence how people view the law, view the governance and constitutional meanings. Perspective, back to perspectives. I'm going to read this, and this is what I got out of it. Somebody else reads it. This is what they got out of it. I'm like, really? Whose comprehension is different? Why is comprehension different? These are all just forms. At the same time, the full picture here the full picture is coming to us at large. It's like, it's in our face, whether we like it or not, whether we choose that election or whether we didn't, it's still upon us. And if a movement of the energy, ask yourself, can I see any perspective of their saying that could enrich my life or make it better or protect me or a broader thing? There has to be a reason, right? Then you could always say, and I thank God that there's a reason that they're doing this, but I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that event or that energy, nor do I want to be. So I'm very happy. Let them fix it, because obviously it's something that had to be fixed, right? The economic shifts in media influence, technologies, educations, and global interconnectedness all shape how people think, how people feel, how people respond, how people balance, how people align. There is not one single factor that can stand alone when you're trying to compare energetics of these years. What is in common is an overwhelming flow with nobody doing anything about looking ahead at the perspectives of what's happening to educate and to be within one. This is what's happening. So the Civil War versus today, the core difference when people go, we're starting another Civil War. How many times have you heard somebody say, you're going to start another Civil War? How many times have you heard somebody say, you can't think like that? Of course we can. There is nobody directing our wave pattern of thought besides us. You choose your child to go to that school, then it's your job as a parent to make sure they're teaching the balance of the precipice of whatever they're being assigned to teach. Become a parent chaperone, become a parent, so you have first eyes, PTA, first eyes of what's happening, how they're speaking. Man, I told you before, Madison, the show Madison was a rude freaking awakening for me of what was happening in New York City. Rude awakening just by that show Madison. And then when you ask people of New York, is this true? They're like, yeah, it's been like that. You're like, oh. And you can't believe, I can't. I am in an awareness and I want to judge it. And I know that if I judge it, I'm just as bad. But I continue to watch it. Crazy, but I continue to watch it. Why? Because it speaks volumes right now of what I have missed in some of these states. Rude awakening. So the rude awakening here with the Civil War carried a binary energy. Two defined sides, neither one willing to give in. One central issues, a breaking point that led to physical conflicts. Today carries a multipolar energy. Multipolar, not binary, multipolar energies. Many perspectives. Multiple defining issues. Tension expressed through conversation, policy, culture, and personal identity. One era moved toward separation. This era moves through complexity. It is deeply complex. It's not a division of the North and South of slavery. That's basically was the argument with the Civil War. I mean, there was a couple other things, but the slavery was the major piece, right? The Republican side, Abraham Lincoln, free them slaves. Who are you to have a slave? Free them. Yes, I believe that too. Nobody. It's your choice, yet again. Choices. We make them every day of our life. And we make those choices. You can't just look at the positive sides of how it's going to better you. You also have to look at how it can hinder you. And this is where people, they don't sit and they don't process. They're quick to judge. They're quick to talk. They're quick to think. They're quick to speak. They're always quick without staying calm within the chaos, process it, and then let's go back. Works better. Always will. Always does. So that era moved toward separation. This era is moving through complexity. There's too many arguments. We could say we're going to argue transgender. We're going to have a war because of transgender and the LGBTQ. Right? Okay, well, that's not going to help the educational side. That's not going to help the constitutional side. That's not going to help the military side. That's not going to help the big pharma side. That's not going to help our imports and export. How? That's the complexity. Back in the Civil War, we had trades, but not like the trades today. All these negotiations, all these deals, art of the deal. I don't care. Turn it off and you don't hear him. I agree. He's loud. He's obnoxious. Turn it off. What I wanted is, what are you doing with the executive orders? What are you doing to solve the killings? What are you doing? Power and strength, I believe it. Show your strength. Now, do you have the courage to come against it? Because if you do, now you're going to claim more, because here I am and I'm trying to negotiate. You could have a different perspective. I don't really care, because that's on you. I do care. You know, I'm here for pondering. I'm here to open up eyes to say, think about what you're saying. Don't just think of the moment. Don't. The spiritual Fed connecting both of these eras at a deeper level, both moments share the same underlying movement. It's a recalibration of identity. In 1860, what does freedom mean? Think about it. In 1860, what did freedom mean to them? Today, who belongs? How do we live together with different truths? What is the meaning of unity in a diverse and evolving society? These are questions you should ponder. Should. I hope you do. Right? Who belong? How do we live together? What is the difference in our truths? Why is there differences in our truths? Are you willing to listen to the other side? Are you willing to just be a brick? And then after they finish or pausing, you fire back. Is that true? Or somebody goes, you want to do that, right? You want to do this, right? You want to do it, right? I'm a right person. That's almost a conviction. And I'm part of that. I say right a lot because I've already found my truth to say, and this is my truth, and this is how I feel, and this, right? Wanting that right meant that I wanted somebody else to say, oh my God, MJ, yes. And now you're on my team. Oh, look, right? Is that part and parcel of me being a military person, a veteran? Getting everybody to, hey, look at my army, right? Haven't you ever noticed when there is a problem or there's a hiccup within a circle of friends, people will go, blah, 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 and they try to get you on their side. See, they're on my side, and then they're going to use you to the other person. She believes that to be the truth. He believes that to be the truth because we've already talked about it. And now you want to take all these people in your own little army and punch whoever that one person is because you've already stacked them. How is me? I know how that feels. My thing to my masters when I was going is, why can't you be on my side? Why can't you think like I do? Why can't you just honor how I think? Boy, I'll tell you what, a couple of my masters, I don't know if they, I didn't know if they realized who they were in for with the Y girl and the person who wanted to study it thoroughly and not just accept an answer because it was the movement or it was the energy at the time. It's an old belief pattern. I'm over it. Right. That's my truths. But to find out they were my truths because I didn't have enough information to have an interpretation of balance. I had to find it. So when identity is challenged, people respond in powerful ways. Some hold really tightly to the older traditions, the older belief patterns, because it worked for them. Get it? It worked at the time. My baby boomers, it worked at the time for you. Times are changing. Evolution is changing. So some of your be safe theories are out the door because they're hacking into systems and phones that our technology are taking us, but they're so blind, they didn't put protection for us. Why? So you created all this, but yet you didn't put a protection to save us from our monies out of our bank and everything else. So how good is your technology? These are pondering questions. Why do I want this? I was taught, right, in the military, don't ever let them have your irises. Dig your eyes out if you get cut. Like I had to go through these trainings, digging my eyes out so they couldn't have, or burning off my fingertips if I got caught by prisoners of war or whatever. You learn these skills, and now your phone wants your irises. Get the heck out of here. Clearance went. Why do you think they want them? Because all your big technology is all governmental bound. So the minute you start ISO associating faces, eyes, and fingerprints, you can be tracked, Bill Gates, all the way around the world. So you're no longer free. They're going to track you. Nobody has your same irises. Nobody has your same fingerprints. Nobody. Not even close. So they track you. That's your phones. That's your rings. These are all these things. Yes. What is the positives? Positive sides are somebody does something evil or not right or criminal, and technology will get them very quickly. So is it stay on your best behavior system? That what it was built by? Facebook was not built as it is today. The whole concept was only for Harvard students so that they could have study halls and they could intertwine with one another and learn, or maybe pick up something at the school or have a social gathering. That's what it was originally made for back in 2004. Look where technology has evolved it to. Ponder that. Did he think back then, Zuckerman? Oh, this could really cause worldwide issues. Oh, people are not healed enough to do this. Oh, he didn't think negative. The only thing he thought was the positives to it. So what happened? How many times has Mr. Zuckerberg now been to Capitol Hill and to courts? How many times are we going to take Zuckerman back to court? Because here we are, right? Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Some expand into new understandings when they become aware of what is changing. And maybe after they're learning, they accept it and now they like it. Hence, iRobots, right? The iRobots for cleaning. How many women are so sick and men are cleaning and sweeping and mopping their floors? So you work all week, Monday through Friday, right? And sometimes you're working beyond hours. Sometimes you're stuck in traffic, having to take the kids, having to do this, having to go. And all of a sudden, you just want the weekend. You're like, oh my God, now I got to do clothes. I got to clean up my house. This is Middle America, fans. I have to do my laundry. I have to go to the grocery. I have to clean and mop the house. I have to dust the house. I have to mow the grass. I have to go pull weeds. I have to. How many more things? So iRobot. Because I came out of remission, and Ozzy is right now trying to do both outside and inside. He's finding it very challenging. So Ozzy decided we are going to get an iRobot vacuum, even though I have a beautiful central vac on every floor of the house. But then you would have to plug it in and carry that big 30-foot hose, and they're heavy, up all the steps, which I can't do at the moment. So for him, it's just one more thing off of him. One more thing in life. What's the bad? What's the good? The bad part, haven't quite found it besides, oh shit, now I got to go empty that. I have to remember to empty, where they dump all the dirt into a little unit. So we have to remember to empty that. That's probably the only bad part I see so far. The other bad part is it's not a deep clean. It is a constant clean to keep things from not having to be so deep clean. But once a month, you're still going to have to pull your shit out. You have to behind your corners and everything else. Because if not, they're going to just have, especially if you had dog hair or dust, it's just going to be in clumps and balls. So goods and bads. However, it does make sense for us at the moment to alleviate some pressure of have tos get done in order to live healthy. So technology, here it is, right? So what happened to the love of our country? Perhaps love didn't disappear. Perhaps it transformed. For some, love of the country expresses as preservation, honoring history, tradition, and fundamental principles. For others, it expresses as evolution, advocating for change, advocating for inclusion, and advocating for new interpretations. For many, it exists somewhere in between. The fears, A lot of fears have been approached now. They have opened up. Fear. What is this fear? What is happening with this fear, right? It moves beyond the agreement, and then it begins to hold both our pride and our accountability. So as we finish, I want our final reflection to be a nation at 250 years old. The United States approaches its 250 years since the United States declared declarations of independence. There is a very natural invitation to pause, to ponder 250 years of United States citizens changing, evolving, moving forward with technologies. 250 years is not simply a celebration. It is a threshold. It is a major threshold. A moment where a nation, like a person, looks inside of a mirror and asks, here we go, asking questions again. Who have we been? Who have we been? Who are we now? Who are we becoming? Wow, they're big questions. Who have we been? Look at our own journeys. I can tell you mine. 50, well, plus years, whatever. Whatever. There's a lot of years. Where have I been? I told you when I was as a child to play out inside, and then I had my own children. At 24 and 25 years later, I couldn't let them out there in Miami like that. I couldn't do it. So ponder, who have we been? Who are we now? And who are we now becoming due to evolutions and changes? Every era has carried its defining questions. The founding asked about freedom. The American Civil War asked who that freedom truly belonged to. Now, at 250 years, the question really now is going to deepen with you. How do we remain united while honoring the fullness of our differences? Spiritually, milestones amplify truth. They bring forward what is ready to be seen at the time where you can most handle it. Where there is pride, where there is pride, then that strengthens. Where there is pain, it calls for healing. And where there is division, it invites awareness. And none of this can happen without discussions and talking. Our problem our mainstream media subliminally puts an impression of what we are listening to from their perspective of what that person wants. It's the same as AI in ChatGPT. I can tell you online how many people use ChatGPT to write for them. It's not their words. They're using it. They say, well, I may have liked that word, or I may have liked it, but they don't give credit. And remember, all of these AIs, they're programmed by somebody. Does that somebody think like you? Does that somebody have your same journey in life, your same energetic pattern, your same belief systems? No. But you're going to just put it out there anyway. You're just going to make it so that everybody reads it. But that's not who you are. Time and time again. When somebody without a computer or a phone, let's see how you talk. Let's see if you actually act like that. They don't. It's a belief system. Well, I believe that what they're saying is the truth and I like it, so I'm going to write it. But that's not how you really feel. And if it is how you really feel, it's not how you've healed yourself to speak. Remember that, right? This moment is not simply about looking backwards 250 years. It's about becoming conscious of what love of country means now to you, to your family, to your friends, to countrymen worldwide. Not something inherited, something chosen. It's not something assumed. It's something lived. Love of country is no longer a single voice. It's now a relationship to truth, to one another, and to the shared space that we call home. And in that relationship, still unfolding, there is opportunity to reconnect, to redefine, and to remember that love in its highest form expands to the highest positive consciousness available to human before God. That's where I'm going to leave it. Where are you? Where are we? Are we united? Does it take a catastrophe? When I see people and the attempts of assassinations and they're like, well, they freaking missed him this time, they need to get him next time. That's awful. Why are you condemning people who talk like that? Why are you associating with people instead of asking them, why are you so hateful? What has happened? What did this person ever do to you that caused you this much anger? Can I help you? Anger and resentment doesn't need to be political. It doesn't need to be, you have it within family and friends. But I'll tell you what hurts my soul, and I've said it this weekend, when I watch people in the baby boomers, people who enlist, people who got drafted, and people who just didn't give a shit. And if you ask them in Vietnam or Korean War, if you ask them, even World War II people who were drafted, would you do it again? I have somebody who emphatically, who got drafted, said no. Why do I have to do that? They're not healed enough to understand that you're not fighting for this themselves. They're fighting for everybody. So they're not a person who is service to others. They're service to self. Does that make sense? So your camaraderie of anger and resentment because of people asking for drafting at this time, maybe you're just supposed to sit in a BMX and help somebody with computers, because that person who enlisted, who was doing that, is now on the front line because they're a patriot and they'll fight for the honor that there is no evil left in this world, that we can have grace. But if you take the terror out after 50 something years, we all might have a fighting chance. Not having our countries around the world being blown up in synagogues or churches, or rallies in the street that people being mowed over. Ponder, people, ponder. Sit back and ask yourself, what is the highest conscious positive thought that you could have today? Maybe your anger and disgust and your problems that you constantly are in are because of how you think and because of how you choose. Not because people around you are choosing things. I didn't choose to raise my taxes. Somebody else did. If I asked everybody in Pennsylvania, you want higher taxes? They're going to say, hell no. So how is it that one person governing our state can do that? Constitutionally. You voted for it because you're looking at red or white, or red or blue, or a donkey, an ass, or an elephant. You were looking at political sides, not what that person could actually do for you. So why don't you stop at the political sides and figuring out what's best for you, your family, your child, your health, and your pocketbook? No. Because I got to tell you, 2008, there wasn't a person in the United States in 2008 that their house didn't go upside down and inside out, to a point that it almost mandated in almost every single person then. That's why we have adult children living with their parents, because they can't afford it. Think about that. Perspectives, ponders. Where are we? What are you teaching our children? And how come teachers aren't standing up for anything that is not any full consciousness? And why are mental health practitioners teaching people to be entitled? That's scary. It is very scary. Okay, that was a lot. That was a lot. I know. But when I asked, I want you to know that these are baby boomers asking for this. Love of our country. What happened to it? Where is it? They're confused. They're sad. They're depressed. They can't even understand what happened to their political party. Some of these beautiful baby boomers were the unions, were the union workers, our school teachers, our laborers, our contractors, union workers, our fossil fuels, our coal mines. That party doesn't exist anymore. It got so far radical with immigrants from all over the world that it no longer values our Constitution. They brought their laws with them. They want to live in the United States, the free world, and following their adjudication of their country. When that happens, it doesn't work. It doesn't. There'll always be conflicts. There'll always be disagreements, and there'll always be arguments. Sometimes we have to conform, and sometimes we have to be Michael and just remain calm within the chaos and allow the chaos to pass, because as some of the most beautiful teachers I've ever met, with conscious awareness and positive feelings, and understand that the I am Christ light is in every single person who exists in this world because God put it that way. But there is going to be rules that you have to follow because it keeps order. It can cause division, but the division is because there's somebody who's entitled who doesn't want that. So remember that. I will be back next week. It'll be May. So I do have to tell you one thing. I know today is the 27th. And I don't know how many people who were part of watching me from the beginning, but I am so excited and so happy to announce that I literally have been on MBR come May 15th, 2 years. May 15th, I have aired for 2 years. I'll go back like I did last year, and I'll start with the new shows leading up and what those shows were about. So you can expect that upcoming. It will be just a renewal in case anybody, wants to know what they were. I'll spend, breaking them all down. Not from the beginning because I already did that. So where we left off last time until now. But yeah, 2 years. 2 years here at the Military Broadcast Radio. And I pray that each and every one of you ponder some of these questions, some of these thoughts, and some of these relative theories that might help you balance in today's world. Oh, Jackie, I love you. Thank you. So, and if you want me to talk about something, you go ahead and you bring it up. And you go, MJ, can you break this down? I would love to. Sometimes it's hard to get up here and speak, and you're like, there's so many things to speak on, but what is really relative? So this time I asked the baby boomers. I asked those who love their country. I did. Thank you. Thank you for your answers. And thank you for making me aware that that's on your mind. I love that. I do. I do love when I can help people ponder things into perspective of positive consciousness, or the unawareness of the egos of our judgments in the unconsciousness that our life learning lessons are events that we all go through. And then we make those choices. Sometimes we put ourselves first instead of last, and sometimes we put ourselves last instead of first. And what journey and what perspective or event do we do that to our own self? But that's your journey. And you heal it the way you want to heal it. When we pray that you heal it with God in front of you, the I am conscious is in front of me. The I am conscious is in back of me. The I am conscious is to the right. The I am conscious is to the left. The I am conscious is to the top. It is to the ground. And it sits right here in my heart. Maybe someday we can all follow that path. and understand that not every single person in life has the same perspectives and the same consciousness or morals or belief systems that you do. And that challenge exists in everybody. Namaste, folks. I love you. I'll see you next week. See you in 7 days. Have a blessed week. And remember, the angels are over you. Just ask for whatever it is that you need and start manifesting balance, alignment, abundance of what it is. May the angels take you and carry you with peace, love, grace, joy, happiness, and abundance of what it is that you desire most.
Life is like a duck. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Here at Military Broadcast Radio, we're teaming up with our friends at Die Tired, the veteran-friendly music band spreading strength, resilience, and mental health awareness one shirt at a time.
And check this out. Their brand new shirts feature broadcast beaker right on the breast pocket. A reminder that you can weather the storm, and you're never alone.
Shirts are only $25, and proceeds support giving veterans a voice. MBR's mission to teach veterans how to podcast and videocast. Because when our vets are talking, they're not overthinking. They're not second-guessing. Together, we stop the 22 stigma. Grab your shirt today at mbradio.us and hit the shop. Or go directly to toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband. That's toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband.
Suit up, stand strong.
Remember, we're unduckable together.
You're built tougher than the storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.